Welcome to the end of February slash, I didn't do the millennial pause. Welcome to the end of February slash start of March development update for OpenMarch. If you're only here because you are only watching this because you're a drill writer or something like that, and you are interested in what OpenMarch can do right now for you as a drill writer, then only stay around for the next 40 seconds because this month was really all about how OpenMarch is structured behind the scenes and making it a more mature application and less of a very recent post-grad passion project. So what we have right now, if you just want to see OpenMarch at all and you want a more in-depth thing on what it can do, I would watch the January update. But new things that we have as of February, and very little time was spent on these new features. They're just they're there, but I wouldn't call them done. Biggest thing, animation. They move now. Can you pause in the middle of said animation? No. You might see that play pause button up there doing stuff, but it doesn't do anything. You can also change the page in the middle of an animation and it'll continue. And there's also no semblance of tempo or anything like that. It is all, I believe, 1 second. So that is not nothing, but that is not very useful. There's also no pathways still. You may see this export button. Now you can export individual coordinate sheets. They look pretty ugly, but they exist. You can include measures, and you can be like, oh, look at that, measures, but we don't have measures implemented yet. So they're just right there. You can abbreviate the coordinates descriptions, which I think is better than having a yard line outside and that. You can just have this. And then X and Y headers. Oh, yeah, it's that, whatever. And you can also change how the steps are rounded. You can literally do to the nearest 73rd if you'd like. I don't know why you would. Or to the nearest 10th step. Kind of forgot how I did this. Or the nearest 100th step if you'd like to do that. So let's export. Puppeteer deprecation warning. See how I said it isn't actually working very well. Untitled PDF. Oh, I don't want to do that. Let's do lots of very experimental things. I hope I'm not showing you something that's okay. Look at that. That's a bug. It should look like this, and it did look like this, and now it doesn't, and I don't know why, but I built this at the start of February, and I haven't really had the chance to check. So, as I always say, if anyone knows how that works, I've only given that 40 seconds of attention. Last very small thing that OpenMarch can do that it used to not be able to do. When you zoomed in, it was very blurry, the lines. Now, look at that. Look at how sharp those lines are. I'm very proud of that. Basically had to turn off caching and on. It was a whole thing. Now, if you don't care about development, then you should stop watching this video now. And if you do, I am going to tell you what has been taking up all my time. First of all, this kind of thing, as you see right there, this deprecation warning stuff. If you're new to web dev, which I would say relatively I am, packages are awful. As in, they're great because you can just kind of plop something in your code and it'll work, but everything is deprecated, warning, hides security vulnerability. Puppeteer is the thing I use to export the PDFs, and I would rather not use it because using the most recent version of Puppeteer will make the application blow up because there's dependencies that other things rely on, like this better SQL3 thing, SQLite thing I use. So the version of Puppeteer I'm using just for that is deprecated. It's don't use this. Whatever. That's doesn't matter for right now. The biggest thing that has been taking a lot of my time is testing. Before this month, I had literally 0 tests written. I had console outputs. When I would build a new feature, I would launch it and be like, I hope this works. And it did most of the time. But pretty quickly, and credit to, I forgot his name, but conversation I had with the guy, he was like, you got to build tests for this thing. And I'm like, I don't want to, but I do. I do need to. And testing a GUI like this is very new to me. It's annoying. It's repetitive. It's boring. It's not exciting. If I had an infinite amount of time, I would have had animation be mature by now. I maybe even would have had music implemented. But unfortunately, that's not how real software works. You can't just keep adding new stuff, because if I ever want this to be like something that people can actually use and rely on, it has to not just be built with crossed fingers and good luck. And one of the ways I have been trying to ensure that is by making everything more object-oriented. And what I mean by that is, before, if I can show you the GitHub, before, and currently this is what it's like on the main branch, whenever you use something, a marcher, a marcher page, it's not like it's like an object, but it's like an interface object. Like, I define an interface, there in here, interfaces. I define an interface of a marcher, like here. It's like export interface. It has all these things that a marcher has. Great. I forgot that TypeScript has classes. Like, I was so focused on using React that I just forgot that classes exist. And now I have like a marcher class that has, methods and instance like things. And instead of like the person having to call fetch marchers, I'm going to also change that to refresh marchers. Instead of them having to, like, the developer having to do that every time, like, I was doing all these things so manually. And it wasn't until I was like trying to build all of these tests when I'm like, this is a nightmare to test. I have to like check all of these things, because I was like trying to unit test, and all of these like methods were stored in like the Canvas component. And it was just, I was like, why did I do this? Like, a dude with a computer science degree forgets that classes exist. I just wasn't thinking about it. So hindsight, anti-hindsight bias, just I guess normal hindsight has, I guess the thing is that with me being like really, there's a few other people that have shown interest, and great, we have a Discord, awesome, but really I think I'm the only one that's really putting a lot of hours into this. With me, an application of this size, granted it's not that complicated, but with an application that's trying to do what this is, often I will write something and then I'll be like, great, this works. And when it was super small and marchers just needed to be interfaces and that worked, it worked, but it didn't make sense. It wasn't mature. It wasn't not that I need everything to be object oriented, but like, this is just better. Is there anything else I changed? What was my goal in? Okay, we did this. We exported function of some sorts. Oh, keyboard shortcut organization. This is something I'm actually really proud of, and this is what sparked the class thing. I think it was, yeah. So whenever you register a keyboard shortcut, and like, I thought this would be simple, but like actually trying to, when you like, I had keyboard shortcuts that were like Control Z or like Z and X, like lock the axes. And when you were typing and you pressed Z, that just happened. So you had to make sure that would happen. And originally I was just checking if the text was focused and everything. Basically, what's happening right now, and really the whole point of this project for me, is to learn how to write less stupid code. That sends me down a lot of rabbit holes. Like, originally, last night, I logged onto my computer at like 9:30, and I'm like, great, I need to create, where are the classes? And I'm rambling, so you like, whatever. Most of the people should have left. Well, I think like only 3 people watch these, and that's like me 3 times. Where are the classes? God, here they are. Okay, so originally I'm like, okay, I need to make a Canvas marcher component so I can start pausing things, like making the animation pause, instead of just keeping everything in this Canvas and chord utils, and there's like marcher, Canvas marcher utils or something like that. Oh, they're literally right here. Yeah, so everything was like attached to the Canvas. So I was building this Canvas marcher. You'll see a lot of things pop up. And then I'm like, okay, canvas marchers need R chords or readable chords, which is translating the location of a pixel to something on to what it looks like on the canvas, or what it actually looks like. Like maybe 500 by 700 is like 3 steps inside the 40 and like 12 steps in front of the front hash. But like, yeah, you can't just store, you know what I mean? Hopefully, imaginary people. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, now I need a class for these readable chord things that I've created. And so I created this class, and then I'm like, okay, but readable chords, and these are all commented out so my code doesn't freak out because they're all broken right now. But then I'm like, readable chords, like they need some sort of constant for inside and outside. And what if you don't just want yard lines? Like what if indoor groups are going to use this? And then I'm like, okay, I need like robust field properties, like where I have field properties already, but as you will see, they are stored as a constant in the database, just defined, right? Because I only really want to do that now. But now that I'm like getting into the weeds of building all these classes, now I'm really like, I just want to do this once, and I want like tests are already written for all like the page class, the marcher class. And like when I write these and before I commit them to the repository, I need tests to be written. So I don't want to be refactoring things constantly, which is like what I'm doing right now. So, and then I got to the field properties, and then I'm like, okay, originally field properties had, they had like a front sideline, a front hash, a back hash, and a back sideline. These were like the Y checkpoints, right? But then I'm like, well, I don't really know how indoor coordinates get stored, so we probably want Y checkpoints instead. And I'm like, well, if we're going to have Y checkpoints, I don't really want to call the X checkpoints yard lines. And so then I needed to create something to like store all of those. And then I'm like, okay, now where is this all relating to? Is this going to relate to the top left, the back left corner of the field, which would be like, here? Are all of the coordinates going to ignore that? Are all the coordinates going to be like here? Are all of them going to relate from this corner? Are all of them going to relate from here? Or are they all going to relate from the center? And I was like, okay, I'm going to decide on the center. And then I'm like, what if like the center doesn't line up with how many steps are from the front sideline? Like, and now I'm like, okay, now I'm just going to, whatever. All of these things you're hearing are constantly going in my head, and it is how I signed into my computer at 9:30 p.m. last night. I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a canvas marcher. And then I logged off at 12:30, staring at this field properties thing that isn't even done yet, and I mostly just have a lot of ideas written. So this was more of like a dump as to how I don't even want to call it scope creep. These things just need to be done. Yeah. Well, I think I'm in good shape to have a lot of cool stuff in March. But there's a lot of question marks as to how fast I can get this done. I have no prediction as to what I will have in March. I will write down goals. I will define them, and I'll be like, this is what's going to be done. But like my February goals, I didn't do this. I didn't optimize the fetching of marcher pages. That would probably take me a night. But I like just one session. I just didn't have time. And now I need to make a marcher pages class now. All this stuff wouldn't be that hard to do. It's like these things aren't hard to do. They just like need to be done. And like I just wish I had infinite time. But it's fine. Really the most important thing is I'm having fun. I'm learning a lot about coding, and I'm just the fact that I like that I'm doing this, and it's like an addiction, I guess. It's like doom scrolling but coding. I just want this one more thing to work. I just want this one more thing to work. But no, it's good because on the other side, hopefully, we'll have a competent drill writing application. Or maybe this will be a steaming hot pile of garbage that no one ever uses. But on the way, I learned a lot, and that's what life is all about. Remember to hit that bell and subscribe to my gift card giveaway. I'll see you all in March. If you want to join the Discord of 4 or 5 people where I send occasional messages about what's happening, let me know. I even if like you can't commit to working, just having people that are like, I want to help out. I might be able to like look at code once a month, or maybe make a logo, or maybe just think about ideas, or maybe just design some stuff. Anything. I don't really care. Cool. Bye-bye.